Welcome to Simplified UPSC by PPP, where we listen, learn, and grow together. Detailed lecture notes in English and Hindi, plus practice questions for prelims and mains, only on our Telegram channel. Link in description. Like and subscribe for more.
Welcome back to The Deep Dive, the show that's all about turning dense, foundational knowledge into something you can actually use.
Today we're tackling NCERT Class 11 Biology, Chapter 20, Locomotion and Movement.
Exactly. We're going to perform a surgical extraction of the high-yield concepts, the stuff that really matters for getting that competitive edge.
And this chapter is just fantastic. It's basically the blueprint for biological engineering. We're looking at how the body turns chemical energy into actual physical motion.
It's all connected. Before we jump in, though, I just want to say a huge thank you. Seriously, a massive shout out to all of our existing members. Your support is what makes it possible for us to keep producing these super useful deep dives.
It genuinely means the world.
It really does. And if you're listening and getting value from this, please hit that like button, drop a comment with your thoughts. And if you can, think about subscribing and joining our paid membership on YouTube. It helps us keep the lights on and the content flowing.
So for today, we've got a clear plan. We'll start with the basics, what movement is, and the 3 types of muscle.
Then we get into the nitty-gritty.
The real engine of contraction, the sarcomere. After that, we'll map out the framework, the skeleton.
And finally, we'll look at what happens when these systems break down the key disorders. Ready to dive in?
Let's do it.
Okay, so first things first. The NCERT makes a clear distinction between movement and locomotion. They aren't the same thing.
Not at all. Movement is any change in the position of a body part. Your heart beating, your eyelids blinking, that's all movement.
But it doesn't mean you're going anywhere.
Exactly. Locomotion is when that movement actually results in a change of location for the whole organism. It's a voluntary action.
Okay.
And we see movement at every scale.
Like at the microscopic level.
Think about the flagella on spermatozoa. That's locomotion for the cell. Or how cilia help sponges move water. Even a single-celled organism like Euglena uses a flagellum to get around.
So from these tiny little hairs to the main event, muscle tissue. It makes up, what, almost half our body weight?
An incredible amount, 40 to 50%. It's a specialized tissue, mesodermal in origin, and it's all about generating force. We classify it into 3 main types.
Okay, let's start with the one we're all familiar with, the one we try to build up at the gym.
That would be your skeletal muscle. It's attached to your bones, which is why it's responsible for, well, locomotion and posture.
And it's the one we can control, right? It's voluntary.
Precisely. Under a microscope, it has these stripes or striations. That's a key identifier.
Okay, type 2, the ones that work behind the scenes.
The visceral or smooth muscles. You find them in the inner walls of your organs, your digestive tract, your blood vessels. They're non-striated, no stripes, and they are completely involuntary.
So they're like the body's automated plumbing system, pushing things along.
That's a perfect way to put it, transporting food or gametes without you ever having to think about it.
Which brings us to the third one, the one that's sort of a hybrid.
Yes, the cardiac muscle, the ultimate specialist. It's found only in the wall of the heart. Now, it is striated, like skeletal muscle.
But you can't control it.
But it's completely involuntary. It has its own rhythm, its own beat. It's a self-regulating machine that, thankfully, never stops.
All right, let's zoom in further. We're going inside the muscle to the muscle fiber itself. The terminology here is so important for exams.
It is. So the muscle fiber's membrane is called the sarcolemma.
Okay.
And its cytoplasm is the sarcoplasm. What's really interesting is that this sarcoplasm is a syncytium.
A syncytium, what does that mean?
It means it has many nuclei within a single cell membrane, like one long factory with multiple managers. But the absolute golden nugget of a fact here is about the sarcoplasmic reticulum.
Which is the muscle cell's version of the endoplasmic reticulum.
Right. And its one critical job is to be a storehouse for calcium ions. Kinase plus nases B. Remember that. Everything hinges on calcium.
Okay, calcium is the key. So now we get to the actual contractile unit.
Yes.
The sarcomere.
The sarcomere, it's the fundamental unit, the part of the myofibril between 2 successive Z lines. This is where all the action happens.
And it has those bands you mentioned, the striations.
It does. You have the light I band and the dark A band. And these bands are created by the arrangement of 2 types of protein filament.
The thick and the thin filament.
Exactly. The thick filament is a protein called myosin. The thin filament is mostly another protein called actin.
But actin isn't alone, right? There are other proteins on it.
Correct. 2 very important regulatory proteins, trocomyosin and troponin. They act like gatekeepers.
Which leads us directly to the sliding filament theory. How does this all work?
Conceptually, it's pretty simple. The thin filaments slide past the thick filaments. That's it. That sliding action pulls the Z-lines closer together and the whole sarcomere shortens. That's contraction.
But the trigger for that slide, that's where it gets complex. It starts with the brain.
It all starts with a signal from the central nervous system. It travels down a motor neuron. That single neuron and all the muscle fibers it connects to, that's called a modal unit.
So the signal arrives at the connection point, the neuromuscular junction.
And that electrical signal triggers the release of our key player, calcium. It floods out of the sarcoplasmic reticulum and into the sarcoplasm.
And what does the calcium do? You said the other proteins, troponin and tropomyosin, were gatekeepers.
They are. In a resting muscle, they physically block the spots on actin where myosin wants to bind. But when calcium shows up, it binds to troponin.
And that unlocks the gate.
It's like turning a key. It causes tropomyosin to shift out of the way, exposing the binding sites on actin. The myosin heads immediately latch on, forming what we call a cross bridge.
Like tiny little hands grabbing a rope.
A perfect analogy. Then comes the power stroke. The myosin head pivots, using energy from ATP, and pulls the actin filament inward.
And that's the contraction, the shortening.
That's the contraction, and here's another crucial point. To break that cross bridge so the cycle can repeat, a new molecule of ATP has to bind to the myosin head.
So you need energy to contract, but you also need energy to let go.
You need ATP for both the power stroke and the release. That's why after death, when ATP production stops, muscles get stuck in a contracted state. Rigor mortis.
Fascinating. So to relax, the signal stops, and the calcium gets pumped back into storage, which also costs ATP.
It's a very energy-intensive process, both to turn on and to turn off.
Okay, so we've covered the engine. Now let's talk about the chassis it's attached to, the skeleton.
Right. From the engine to the framework. 206 bones in the adult human, and we split them into two main divisions.
Let's start with the core, the central part.
That's the axial skeleton. 80 bones right along the body's main axis. It includes the skull, the vertebral column, the sternum, and the ribs. Its main job is protection.
The skull is basically our brain's helmet, 22 bones in total.
Yep, 8 cranial bones forming the cranium itself and 14 facial bones.
And holding all that up is the vertebral column.
Which protects the spinal cord. And here's one of those amazing high-yield facts you see pop up.
Oh.
The number of cervical vertebrae, the neck bones, is 7. In humans, yes, but also in almost all mammals.
Wait, you mean a giraffe has the same number of neck bones as we do?
A giraffe, a mouse, a whale. 7 cervical vertebrae. It points to a really deep, fundamental evolutionary plan.
That is wild. Okay, so below the 7 cervical, we have 12 thoracic, 5 lumbar, and then the fused sacrum and cossex.
Correct. And then you have the ribs, 12 pairs, protecting the heart and lungs. Connected to the spine at the back, and for most of them, the sternum at the front.
Okay, that's the axial skeleton. What about the other division?
The appendicular skeleton. This is all about movement. Your limbs and the girdles that attach them to the axial skeleton.
The pectoral girdle, the shoulder.
The shoulder. Each side has a clavicle, your collarbone, and a scapula, your shoulder blade.
And the scapula is really important here. It has a feature called the glenoid cavity.
It does. It's a very shallow socket. The head of your upper arm bone, the humerus, fits in there. Because it's so shallow, you get this incredible range of motion.
But you sacrifice stability for it, right? That's why shoulder dislocations are so common.
Exactly. It's a trade-off. Now compare that to the pelvic girdle.
The hips.
The hips. Here, the priority is the exact opposite. It's all about stability and strength. It's made of 2 coxal bones, and each of those is a fusion of 3 bones. The ilium, ischium, and pubis.
And where the humerus fits into a shallow socket, the femur, the thigh bone, fits into a much deeper one.
A much deeper socket called the acetabulum. It's built for bearing weight. Stability over mobility.
So these bones have to meet somewhere. Let's talk about joints.
Articulations, yes. This is where movement, or lack thereof, is decided. We group them into 3 main types.
What's the first one?
The fibrous joints. These are immovable. Think of the sutures in your skull. Their job is just to fuse bones together into a solid protective structure.
Okay, so no movement.
Yeah.
And there must be ones with a little bit of movement.
There are. Those are the cartilaginous joints. Here, bones are joined by cartilage, and they allow for limited movement. The joints between your vertebrae are a perfect example. They give your spine flexibility.
And finally, the ones that allow for a lot of movement.
The synovial joints. These are the stars of locomotion. They have a fluid-filled synovial cavity between the bones, which allows for considerable movement. Your knee, your shoulder, your elbow, all synovial joints.
Got it. Okay, so we have the muscles, the bones, the joints. Let's wrap up with what happens when these systems fail. The disorders. These are always high yield.
Absolutely. First up, Myasthenia gravis. This is an autoimmune disorder. It affects the neuromuscular junction.
The communication link.
Exactly. The body attacks its own receptors, leading to fatigue, weakness, and even paralysis of skeletal muscle.
Okay, nice.
Muscular dystrophy. This is a progressive degeneration of the muscle tissue itself. It's primarily genetic.
Right, and then tetany.
Tetany is all about calcium. Remember how crucial it is. If you have low calcium levels in your body fluid, you get rapid, wild spasms and contractions. The system goes haywire.
What about bone disorders?
The big one is osteoporosis. It's age-related mostly. Bone mass decreases and the risk of fracture goes way up. It's often linked to decreased estrogen levels, especially in postmenopausal women.
Okay, and one more, gout.
Gout. This one is about inflammation of the joints, but it's caused by the buildup of uric acid crystals. It's a metabolic problem that manifests in the joints.
So that's a great overview of system failures, from signaling to metabolism.
I think so. You know, when you step back, it's just an incredible system. We've gone from the molecular slide of actin and myosin all the way up to the 206 bone framework that gives us structure and allows us to move.
It's truly amazing. And the point you made earlier about the 7th cervical vertebrae, it's stuck with me. Which brings me to a final thought for you, our listener, to chew on. We see that this number 7 is a constant across nearly all mammals, from a swimming whale to a grazing giraffe. So here's the question. What if that strict number isn't really about optimizing for neck length at all, but is instead an evolutionary constraint to protect a critical region of early development from mutation, ensuring the fundamental body plan stays stable for the entire mammalian class?
Something to think about.
Definitely. Well, we hope this deep dive has made Chapter 20 a lot clearer for you. If it did, please show your support. It makes a huge difference.
It really does.
Like this video, share your valuable comment below, let us know what clicked for you, and if you're able, please subscribe and join our paid membership on YouTube. It allows us to keep making these concise, super useful summaries.
A final thank you to all our existing members. We couldn't do it without you.
Stay curious, everyone, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.
Thanks for watching. Follow us on Telegram and Instagram. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.